Hello again, my name is Amethyst Trelevin and this is Ogham reading number 808 for my client with the initials KO. Okay, KO, you asked me to focus on your relationship and where that's going and what's happening for you with that, and also on your career. So these four staves here talk about the future, and we're going to spend most of our time there, but we'll just start off up here and work our way around, and that will help give it a bit of context for you. We start off with this stave here, which is a lovely stave to have at the top of your reading, and it kind of themes it all for you. And this is hazel or coal, and hazel is very much about wisdom. It's about trusting your intuition and your instinct. It's about listening to what is right for you. And what this tells me is that even though this reading has got quite a lot of information in it, an awful lot of this information is stuff that you already know, and that what this reading will do is serve to confirm for you the path that you need to take. And for you that would be quite valuable. Over here, this stave here is you or Idaho. And when I kind of look at these three staves here, these are about the last 12 months, I can see masses of change. Lots of change going on, lots of change going on, lots of change. And it's change that is coming from other people. I can see that in this one here. I'll talk about that in a sec. The impacts of circumstance, lots of changes are happening at work, hammering at you. Your partner, it wants to change a few things as well, but is doing so in a kind of passive aggressive way, I'm being told. But this one is also about change as well, but it's about change that you make. It's about the approach to life that you have, and you've kind of subtly shifted, if you like, in the last 12 months from having this view of your relationship to having a different view of your relationship, and also about your career, but also about the people that you work with as well. So if you look back and compare yourself now with the yourself of 12 months ago, you'll see there's quite a shift in how you see life, how happy or otherwise you are, and how at peace you are. You're not at peace, particularly, and life isn't as harmonious as it could be. So we'll pick up on this one because it's also about change. This is Ash or Newen, and this is that one that I talked about where change is being impacted on you from other people. Your work life, there's been masses of changes around there. There's also been masses of changes around your partner's work life as well. And it hasn't always been productive, positive change that you would want. A lot of the changes that have occurred for you in the last 12 months just came out of the blue, and weren't particularly helpful, either. So it's been a real 12-month of change for you. And this one that's sitting over the top is Lewis or Rowan, and this is about self-protection. And it kind of says to me that gradually over the last 12 months you've become much more protective of yourself. You know, you're beginning to build a little wall around yourself now, that to protect yourself emotionally. Oh, please excuse me. And also financially, I notice as well, practically. Now, this stave in the middle is Mewen or Vine. This is in the position of what's happening for you right now. And this is about reward and effort. It's about reaping what you sow. It's about harvesting. But what I can see here is that you're beginning to see that where you are in your life right now, particularly in terms of your relationship, is as a result of what you did during the last 12 months. Now, I'm not saying that everything is your fault. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you're beginning to realise what your contribution to that is. And that is a really healthy place to be, because that places you in the position of saying, right, well, actually our relationship is not all that good at the moment. That's partly because you feel this, but it's also partly because I feel this, and together we haven't been doing this and this and this and this and this. So it's less about blame and more about self-realization, and that's a really healthy place to be. In terms of your working life as well, you've really come to that position that says, well, actually, I'm in a much better place now to make choices for myself, and in making those choices, that steps me into where I want to be. So again, it's about that self-responsibility stuff, and that's a really good place to be. This is where we want to focus our attention though. These 4 staves talk much more about the next 12 months, and I'll go through each of them briefly, and then we'll kind of tie it all together a bit. Gorse or Olm is about a couple of things. It can be about sexuality versus this one, which is about love. This can be about, it can even be about sexual abuse, but it can also be being the subject of sexual abuse or delivering sexual abuse, but it can also be about not feeling fulfilled, and it can even be about, oh, please excuse me, sneezing now. It can also be about having affairs. Now, before you start getting worried about that, please don't, because we have a fantastic one here that that kind of counteracts that. But what it does say to me is that in the next 12 months there's an awful lot of questioning going on, that the pair of you really need to think through the basis of your relationship. And you have a very strong basis to your relationship, but you just need to think that through a little bit. This is also a stave of instant gratification. It's about living each day as it comes through the next 12 months without necessarily having a big long plan, and firefighting, if you will. And in terms of your career, the planning, it's really important that you begin that planning process now rather than just knee-jerk reaction in terms of career progression. But we'll pick up on this a bit more. Now, this one on top is Beth or Birch, and it talks very much about there being new experiences. Birch is very much about testing the waters, and it's about trying new things, and it's about taking risks and giving new things a go. You tend to like stability, and that's fantastic. You like to feel secure and safe, and that's also fantastic. Beth says, come on, that's great, but let's balance that with a little bit of trying new things as well. You're really somebody who needs to have a bit of stimulation as well. So this is a really good balance. Then sitting underneath that is this one here, which is Holly or Tanya. And Holly is an Ogham stave that talks very much about challenge, but it's about challenges and difficulties that you place in your own path. So remember we talked here about at the moment how you're beginning to see that you are the one that's in control of your own life, even though of course circumstances have a way of hammering themselves as they have over the last 12 months. But you also tend to, your self-esteem's taken a bit of a battering, and you tend to hang back a little bit rather than make decisions. So these two, when we put them together, say it's very much a time in the next 12 months where you need to rebuild some of that self-esteem so that you've got a much better place of self-confidence to make decisions, to make changes for the future. And then we have this gorgeous stave here, and it's in the position of underpinning your next 12 months, and it's about Heather or Ur is very much about love. It's about partnership, it's about companionship, it's about harmony, it's about sharing, it's about caring. And this is on two fronts. Often it's about relationships, of course, and that was the primary question that you talked to me about. But it's also about celebrating and honouring yourself. It's about going into partnership with your own soul and your heart so that you are in a much better place to say, I actually really love me. And when you really love me, you know, the core of who you are, then you don't need that love validation from someone else. You can be much stronger and much more competent within a relationship and be in a better place to give and receive, rather than just to soak up what's coming from someone else. So that's a really good stave to have there. And what's really great is that it's actually in the right direction. It's not upside down. So I'm really pleased about that. So what do we have here? This 12 months here, you asked me about your relationship and that, should you stay or not stay? The relationship has a very strong underpinning of love. I'll rephrase that. It has a very strong capacity to support the both of you in love if you give it the chance. So should you stay or not, I cannot tell you whether you can or should not, but whether you should go or whether you should stay, I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is that with the right skills, your relationship has a massive capacity for strength for the both of you, for honouring and loving and being harmonious for the both of you. We have Beth or Birch in here, which would tend to suggest new experiences, and those can either be new experiences outside that relationship, or they can be a new experience within the relationship. Now, I'm going to pick up on this, and I'm going to talk about our future is entirely up to us, and you know that because this is here. You are the architect of your own life. You have two choices. You can either choose, or you have three choices, in fact. You can either choose the status quo, which is the continuation of your relationship as it currently is. And if you did that for the next 12 months, both of you would become gradually more and more distrustful of one another. That status quo would mean a steady decline downwards. Choice number one. Choice number two is that you choose to remove yourself from that relationship. And within that choice, we have this one here, which talks about another choice within that, which is to go and have an affair so that you can get some emotional, response, because at the moment there's a bit of a hole in your feelings of being loved and so on and so forth. Not the right choice, and we can clearly see that here, so I encourage you not to make that choice. The third choice is that you sit down with your partner and you say, this is crap. I'm going to be really honest with you, this is crap for me right now, and I suspect very strongly that it's crap for you as well. Let's talk about what the strengths of our relationship are, and you know that there are masses of strengths, and what the strengths and the wonderful things about that relationship has been. Let's talk about the weaknesses of our relationship, which is this one here. Let's be open and honest about that, and then let's work on a new path that talks about how we mend some of those holes as we mutually support each other. That's going to be the path that I suggest that you should go down, but I can't tell you you have to make this decision. You said, should I stay or not? I can't tell you that, but what I can tell you is, according to the staves, what is potentially the best choice that you can make, and it is that. However, that needs to be done with open, honest communication. None of this holding back and hesitating anymore. It's about open, honest communication, and when that happens, I can see that relationship has huge potential for you both for the future. But it's about open, honest communication. I can't say that enough. That's really what it's about. And you asked me about your career. Should you do another course, or perhaps should you change your career entirely? There are massive changes for you inside the next 12 months in terms of how you earn your living and how you get sustenance, if you will, through your career, because our relationship is not the only place that feeds our soul. It's not the only place that we find sustenance for our heart and our soul and our purpose in life. Our career is another place where we feed ourselves and feed our self-confidence, as is things like our service to community and our spirituality. For you, your career is actually really important because it feeds who you are. It helps to give you identity. It's not quite right at the moment. It was right when you made the first choices, but remember we talked here about if you look at who you are now versus who you were 12 months ago, they're two slightly different people. You've shifted, and so your career goal, your career purpose has also shifted. Now that's not necessarily saying to you that you're going to have a completely new career and you're going to go off in this direction. You will do that, but not inside the next 12 months. Within the next 12 months instead is a slight shift. There's a slight shift in focus within your existing career. So it's a sideways step, if you like, inside the next 12 months. We're almost in July now, and what I can see happening by the end of the year is very much a sideways move for you. You will be asked to take on new roles, new tasks, new responsibilities, and they are slightly different to what you have now. It's not a promotion as such, but it's a new project perhaps that you'll be asked to do, and I'm going to really encourage you to take that on board and run with it, because it's going to give you a set of skills that will grow your capacity. They'll also give you the ability to re-motivate yourself in your current career. With that said though, inside the next 2 years you will be taking on a new course of study, and it will enhance those new skills that you're going to get from that sideways opportunity that's coming your way by the end of the year. And then within the next 3 years you're really going to shift your career direction quite dramatically. So it's a really subtle shift sideways into new directions over the next 3 years, if that makes sense. What's really important though for you inside the next 12 months is to look at where you are now and realise that it's different to where you were 12 months ago, and that where you will be in 12 months is a different place again. And so you need to re-look at your goals, redevelop them. Goals must be a dynamic journey, not just a single point that you aim for. They need to be always modified, and for you, if that's part of where the whole has been. Now, I wanted to talk to you about your Druidic animal oracle card, and it is the adder. And this is really interesting that this came up, because this is about change as well. The adder, or Nathair, he's about self-healing and about regrowth. So remember we talked here about how your self-confidence has taken a bit of hammering. Adder is very much about rebirthing yourself into that wonderful new gift of self. It's a brilliant card to have come up for you at this time. It's about shedding your skin. It's about confirming that sideways movement of career. And it's about giving you the ability to stop worrying about the past, stop worrying about the negativity in your relationship, and recognise the weaknesses in it. You both must do that, and do that openly and honestly with each other. But to recognise the strengths in your relationship as well, so that you can focus and work on those and use those as the platform that bring you both back together again. So Adder is very much about rebirth and moving into new phases of life. Remember we talked about Bethel Birch, which is also about moving into new phases of life, and doing so with wisdom, with grace, and accepting all of the capabilities that you have within you. It's also about grasping your intuition and your wisdom. There's a strong connection between Hazel, which was your theming stave, and Adder, and it's about listening to your inner strength, to your inner wisdom, and using that to help you make decisions. Adder is also about health. You might recall that the health symbol is a snake wrapped around a stave. So this is asking you in this coming year as well to take a little bit more care of your health. in this coming year. So that means taking some me time, it means eating properly, it means taking control of your exercise, balancing your life out, so that you can also balance health. I thought that was really interesting that it came out, because it really ties in with all of these states for you as well. So it is a 12 months ahead where you need to make a decision about what is appropriate for you in terms of your relationship, and then full pelt at that decision. And I'm going to encourage you to go with recognising that your relationship has some massive strengths to it. And Ada is also confirming that stuff here about rebirth in terms of your career, that subtle sideways shift into new experiences within your career as you develop it sideways into new areas. So I hope that has been beneficial for you, KO, in answering those questions and in helping you make some really informed, good quality decisions about your future.